Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have quorum. So we're going to go ahead and have call to order and then roll call. Hey, Tim? Janice? And if I can get a verbal, Janice? Is she-
The present or here, or what would you like?
It looks like she's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll come back. Charlene?
I'm here. Present.
Barbara?
Present.
And myself, I'm here. Mike?
Here.
Okay, and oh, she's gone. Well, we still have quorum. So we'll go ahead and move forward. Hopefully they'll rejoin us. Okay. And we're gonna move on to 2. Are there any announcements? Okay. There are no announcements. We will be moving on to 3. For public appearances, members of the public who wish to address the committee regarding matters not on the agenda should request recognition at this time pursuant to the above described protocols. See also guidelines for public appearances in general information section. Are there any public comments?
There were no public comments received via email. And there are no members of the public in attendance.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move on to section 4, the review of Measure Y report. And we will be going, I believe, page by page. And with this, once we're finished, we'll have a motion on the floor to either pass the report with changes. And so once we get done, we'll be able to move into that action item. So if you can pull up the report. And if there's any comments on page 1, please let us know at this time. Okay, I believe there are no comments. We can move to page 2. And does anyone have any comments for page 2?
Chair Minor,
Yes.
I do have a couple of comments here and there. You want me to
Okay.
just bring them up as we come across them?
Yes.
Okay. Where it says access to libraries, it would be more accurate to say library extended hours to close to pre-pandemic levels. It was actually 2 hours per week less, and I know you want to be as accurate as possible. We've since surpassed that by opening Sundays, but
Okay,
at the
so
time
library
of the
extended
report,
hours close to,
yes, close to pre-pandemic levels.
okay. Okay,
I'm sorry I missed that in my earlier input.
Yeah, the library used to be open till 9 o'clock on 2 nights a week, and now we are only open till 8 o'clock, so that accounts for those 2 hours.
okay.
May I
Yes, Charlene?
add something? It seems to me that adding the Sunday hours is a significant
But
change in the library's services, and it would be nice to mention it.
But that
That's-
happens
that's-
in this fiscal year.
that's for
not-
this fiscal year. When we're talking about last fiscal year.
Okay, prior to January to 2022. Okay.
Ja- prior to July 1st.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Did you have another, Ray?
That's all I had for this page. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay, we're gonna move on to page 3. And does anyone have any corrections or additions for this page? Okay, you can go ahead and scroll.
Yvette, I have a question. I don't know whether it's appropriate in here or not. But the very, I'm going to go back to page 12 of the report. The paragraph that says we mentioned the committee commends the commission for the adoption of the measure-wise spending allocation. It seems
Well-
that that might be something that could be mentioned earlier in the report as well. I don't know when that happened, so it may be the same type of thing that it doesn't fit with this particular year.
It's mentioned in the financial section.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. And I wondered if it was, significant enough to us as a committee that we wanted to have it sort of in this preamble section.
Oh, as an accomplishment, well, it doesn't fit under one of the categories is the issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I agree with you, it's important.
Yeah, it was
So
a big deal for us.
maybe going to maybe putting it in the introduction. A couple of things. It won't fit.
Mhm.
If you think of where we could possibly put it, we could add that in, but because of the nature of what we're discussing and how we have it laid out, it may not necessarily fit.
Right. It almost felt to me like it would fit as a mention in the introduction section where we talk about our role of oversight. And that the funds should be used for the following purposes, and that those have been maybe further identified or further defined for us by the commission during the year through the adoption of a spending allocation guidelines.
Okay, does the committee feel as though it can fit on page 1? Any recommendations for that?
I still don't see how it fits in there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing
Okay.
it either.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, then we should just move on then.
Okay, and now that we have Janice back, we are moving along, and I just want to give you an opportunity if you have any additions or discussions on page 1, 2, and 3.
Can you hear me? I apologize. My computer decided to kick me off. The very last sentence in the introduction where you talk about more people are getting library services via the internet virtually and some in person. As I read that, I felt that some in person was awkward. Is there another way to say that?
Yeah, I agree with you, Dennis.
Do you have a recommendation?
Maybe some people are getting
More people are getting
services.
library services via the internet or virtually, period. And I don't think you need to even say, and some in person. More people are getting library services via the internet or virtually. Or just via the internet, period, and leave that whole last couple bits off.
You could say in addition to in-person services.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better.
In
That works.
addition to in-person visits.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Okay, so in addition, so that would go,
In that last paragraph.
Last sentence.
right, but in addition to. Okay, at the beginning, in addition, right?
No, replacing and. some
More people are
in-person.
getting library services via the internet in addition to their in-person visits.
In addition to.
Yeah, we don't really need virtually, do we?
No,
No,
because
Okay.
the internet is the virtual.
Okay. Got it. Okay, and did you have any recommendations or comments for page 2, Janice?
Can you scroll down to 2? The only thing I wondered when I read it through the other day is there was not a mention of the Sunday hours that were added.
But that's for this fiscal year, not for last fiscal year.
It was added. This.
That's in FY 22, 23.
Oh, okay, it wasn't added till the end of the year. Okay, gotcha. It's too current.
yeah, I have the same thought. Same,
I'm thinking December to December, not June to June.
Okay, and what about page 3?
Chair Minor, do you want to mention to Janice the change here or the addition of close to pre-pandemic levels?
As opposed to just extended hours, library extended hours to pre-pandemic. Oh,
Close to pre-pandemic levels.
okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, is there any additional for page 3? Okay. Moving on to page 4. So page 4 is good. Okay. Okay, now the financials. Any comments or questions, excuse me, to page 5?
So we included the changes from the audit into the figures from 1920 and 2021 this time. So
Right.
we updated those based on what the audit showed.
Right.
Okay.
So are we good on page 5? Moving on to page 6. Any comments or questions?
No, but I do like seeing it visually as opposed to just stating it. It does make a difference, and you can really see that we are continuing to move upward.
Okay. Nothing else. Page 7.
In page 7, I have a comment and a question. In there, we mentioned a surplus, and yet I didn't show the surplus in the table. I'm wondering, should we add a line to the, so we have total income and revenue and total spending, should we add an extra line to say what the surplus, the excess of revenue over spending was? Do the subtraction of 15 million minus 11 million.
Yeah, you can add a third column that says variance.
So, excuse me,
You can add a third column that says variance.
variance, okay.
Yeah, that would take care of showing the surplus, because we did mention it in the at the top.
Right.
But Mike, are you talking about a line at the bottom netting the revenues, the spending against the revenues?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Oh, actually, yes, if you're talking about, you can do a variance. But I think what you're talking about is down separately, right? When
Right.
when
Right.
you subtract the revenue minus the expending, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. To me, that makes more sense. I think it would be complicating it to have the.
Yes, okay, I agree. I take back my comment.
Every line item.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. So is there anything else for this page? For page 7? So we're gonna be adding, you're gonna add a variance, Mike?
Not variance, I'll just add the net of the
Okay,
revenue minus. Yeah, we have it in a table, I just didn't show it.
I thought I saw that.
It's in another table.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, is there any additional comments or questions for page 7? Moving on to page 8, not much to look at, but page 8, is there any comments or questions? Okay, we lost Janice again, okay. All right, moving on to page 9. Comments or questions?
So I guess both, I've got one comment, and that's on page 7 and 9. On 7, some of the variances, as we note in the narrative, are so large, and on page 9, that 98%, it just sticks out. Is there any explanation behind that? I think as a reader, you're naturally just gonna say why, and is there anything happening to remedy that in the future?
Yes, there is. That's did I put it in there, Yvette? That's the cost allocation
Uncommitted funds,
policy.
the committed and uncommitted funds.
The
we
cost
talked a little bit,
allocation policy
yeah.
should stop that.
The allocation, okay, that comes up in the end, okay.
Also, as I look back on our, my notes on the policy was that 90% of capital expenses would be from Measure Y. So the 98% isn't as egregious as it.
Right, it's that's right, but it's the new policy only takes place this year. It starts this year.
Hmm.
Yeah, we had the same discussion when we was putting the report together, and that policy is in place, but again, it's not in effect until this year, the new cycle.
Yeah.
So we did comment on it because we did find that rather high. So any other recommendations or comments in regards to that? Okay. Moving on to page 10.
Janice,
Here.
Janice has rejoined the conversation.
Well, let's.
On this one, Myrna, I have a question. You rightly pointed out that, the figure, the 12 million, I didn't know. I wanted to show the same figures that you had in the report that you showed us the other day. So the committed funds of 9.8, but that is a November figure, wasn't it? Oh, you're on
It was
mute.
shared in November, but it depicted figures as of June 30th, 2022.
Okay, so that 9.8 is the June 30th. Okay. So I couldn't come up with
Well, these are numbers that changed afterwards. What I was showing was the available amount of 8 million.
Right, and that's why I wanted to come to that 8
Yes,
million
and the
available.
commit, yes, you're right. The way the statement is written in terms of the 9.8 are total some of them, they're adjustments. A lot of them are commitments. Others are adjustments, accounting adjustments. And audit adjustments. So
Right.
those are not necessarily, committed funds. They're a plus or minus. The ones that are committed state that they're a commitment in that.
Right, what I was going to suggest is to add, that I should add another table under here and show what the, what those, the details of that committed funds and adjustments. If I can share my screen, I can show it.
Yeah, and so then that we would be adding that portion into this report, right?
Right,
Is
it'd
what
be
you're saying,
table,
right? Okay,
add table 4. Can I share mine and I'll
Yes.
show what I'm
yes.
proposing? How do I do that?
So-
Okay, just a second, share screen, okay. And this one. So I just showed the major ones and then I netted, put all those adjustments and things all in one line. How does that look, Marina?
Oh, okay, sure. And these are unaudited. We're about to get our final audit for the fiscal year 22. But if you could say that, that'd be nice also. just to-
Unaudited, okay. I will do that. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Okay, back to you, Lisa.
Okay.
Or Lisa.
So does anybody have any questions about the committed funds? Did anybody need any explanation for that? Oh, wait, did we lose? Okay, no, we're good.
It didn't show up on my screen, the table that you're gonna add.
Oh. Okay. Just a second.
And are the
Yeah.
committed funds, are they all prior year items that just weren't completed? Is that what makes up this 9.8 number?
Well, we never showed committed funds in the past. And I think we really should.
Okay.
Because what we want to come to is that it's really 8 million available rather than saying it's 20 million, because 20 million isn't what's available.
And if I
Okay.
may, in prior years, so what the statement, the available fund balance that's not committed and can be used. And it also lists committed funds. And the committed funds, as you recall, I did also present to the Measure Y Oversight Committee in the spring that the commission fully implemented the fund balance policy to create, further commit the fund balance to set aside funds for large investments in IT capital replacement, major maintenance, vehicle replacement, and capital improvements. So therefore, it reduces the available uncommitted funds that can be used for additional investments.
Yeah, because in the past, we would see that large number and we would say, hey, you guys are not spending the money. And so we we added this piece so that people can understand that it's not a huge surplus, but this money is committed for specific things. And then it just looks better to me.
There's still a surplus, but it's not as large as what we were presenting in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really a helpful table. The 2.8 prior year adjustments, are they just reclasses or audit adjustments? What's
That was a fudge I had to make in order to come up with the 8.2. That's why I'm asking from Myrna how do we state that?
Mhm.
Let's see, a prior year adjustments, 2.8. So that was plugging it in.
Yeah.
What can I say? I can share my screen and I can walk you through the statement of activity. I guess what you're trying to do is just add up the numbers, and from my perspective, I don't necessarily need to. It's just you're stating, that there is committed funds of 9.8 million, and there is funds of 8 million. I mean, I could walk you through because it is a formula.
Okay, I just don't know how to state it. I don't know how to show it.
Yeah,
Or could just call it adjustments.
Adjustments, yeah.
yeah, okay, but I put a caveat there that I'm not sure, my numbers don't add up to that necessarily, and so it's I'm not, I don't feel comfortable plugging in a number.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if you
either.
even need to say that,
So you're thinking maybe take that out and just say available fund amount, but then.
Then somebody's going to try to do a subtraction, and they won't figure out where it came from.
The issue here is that it's not what show that there's been a cumulative over the years 20 million. But what you're not showing is that every year there's some level of commitment of funds. And therefore, you're trying to come to the conclusion that how to get to the 8 million. But
Right.
the 8 million is a series of adjustments. And let's see.
So you're saying, Myrna, that you in your sheets you don't come up with 2.8. It's a
No.
different.
No, there's no way to come up with that. I got that number by subtraction in order to make the 8 million.
But you're saying since inception, I would add committed funds under fiscal year 22 column. Those are the committed funds for that year.
Okay, and are these prior commitments?
I would
then
remove prior commitments. I would say, your committed funds.
So we can actually take the 8 million out and then maybe just write a statement about the 8 million. And so take it off the chart.
Right, because Mike, also, with the revenue, as you stated, you're not picking up everything.
That's
You're only
right.
picking up a sales tax.
Right.
And in the statement of activity, it picks up everything. So,
Right.
so you do have, I agree with the 3 million and your expenditures of 11.4 million. And so therefore you have a surplus of 3.9 million. In addition to that, I mean, you could certainly, I would put an asterisk, over revenues and say, this only accounts for the sales tax revenue. There are other revenues that we have added into the fund balance. I mean, into the fund. But for purposes of just simplifying this as you would like, just for the sales tax purposes, there are committed funds And there's a total of adjustments of 9.8 million. Those are
Right.
adjustments that includes the commitment of funds. So if you put that in there, 513, then, so really what you do is you subtract. You have to put a minus because those are not funds that are available, right? So
Right.
3.9 minus 9. Okay, just bear with me here. Okay. I'm gonna do the math too. 3,948,328. So the difference is,
1 million.
so then the difference is a negative 5,944,185. So what you're missing is the available balance from the previous year.
Right.
So then you add that, and that is 13 million. So if we add 13,768,731.
Okay. I mean, so it is really commitments that were made in prior years.
So see, the numbers are, you're going to show the difference between the negative 5.9 million and the starting balance of 13.7 million. The difference is 7,828,000, right? But my statement shows 8 million. So if we're doing the math according to how you're doing it,
Right.
it understates your available fund balance.
Right. But because of the minor items that we don't include.
Yes. Mhm.
Right. Could you send me that with an email, and we just really, and maybe we talk tomorrow and figure out how, it's really a matter of wording there, because if we're going to show the available amount of 8 million, which I think is worthwhile, then we have to have some explanation of how we got to that 8 million.
Yes.
So then maybe just taking it out of this chart and then have that number and then do an explanation of that number instead of having it in the chart.
Okay.
And then we don't have to do additional computations.
Right.
We can just do
Very
an
good.
explanation of the 8 million and so forth.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think that
Yeah,
would
we
work
could
better.
say, you could caveat it that these are unaudited financials, and
Right.
if all the activity in the fund, the adjustments were and committed funds of a total of 9.8 million, leaving an available uncommitted balance of 8 million.
Right. Okay.
Right, and then talking about it being unaudited and the activity, and that is only sales tax.
And that's right. It'll say, yeah. Okay. I'll send it to you tomorrow so that we can talk about the wording, make sure that we're in agreement on that. Okay.
Okay, I know that was a lot. Is there any questions or any comments? Hopefully everybody followed along pretty well. Okay, we're good. Charlene?
No, it's fine.
Right.
Just unmuting myself.
Okay. All right, moving on to page 11. Any comments or questions? We're good on page 11.
Yep.
Going once, going twice. Okay. Now to the conclusion, page 12. Comments and suggestions and questions.
A question on the last bullet point. Is it our job to tell how to do the budgeting?
I see a head shake, no.
I think that was in there last year, and I just, yeah.
It's appropriate. It is our responsibility to review, you know, we have an allocation policy. So how well are we complying with our policy throughout the year? And, you know, those are things that we report to, or I report to the finance committee and the commission on a monthly basis.
So is the statement all right for us to have it in our conclusion? With that being said.
And I can say that we do review we do it. It's always good to be reminded though.
Okay, so is everyone fine with leaving that statement in our conclusion? Yes, thumbs up.
Well, it does imply that this reviews are not going on now, and they are.
Right.
Well, I mean, what you could maybe elaborate a little bit and just plug in there that according to the new policy, right? Just so, you know, since it's a new policy, the budget should be reviewed for, you know, communication and reporting purposes, something to that effect.
Okay, that's fine with me.
So according to the new policy,
Mhm.
okay, we suggest that.
Adjust it accordingly in line with the new policies or something like that.
Adjust. Okay, say that again, Mike.
Adjust it accordingly in line with the new allocation policy. Is that what you mean, Marna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does everybody feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, it's more specific.
Okay. All right. Move into our last page. Comments, questions, suggestions. Pretty straightforward.
Chair Minor,
Yes.
if whoever's controlling could scroll back up just a few lines.
Say
I
when.
thought I caught this first time around. Commissioner Hauser's last name is misspelled. It's Haeusser. And we'll catch that when we do the layout, but I wanted to let you know that that change will happen.
Okay. Good catch. All right. Anything else?
Is that correct to say we have a vacant position appointed by the Sonoma County Library Commissioner? The last one on the vacant? Is it Sonoma County Commissioner, right?
It would be more accurate to say County of Sonoma Library Commissioner,
Okay,
because that's the appointing body in that case.
Oh, so no.
Then it doesn't get confused with our name.
right, yeah, that's what was confusing.
All right. Okay. Made it through. So the question becomes, with, if we make the action item asking for a first and second, but my question is this actually, because of, we're gonna be adding some possible additional graphs or anything. Do people feel comfortable with it going forward if we have a motion to move it forward with the corrections? Or does anyone need to see that again? Because that will determine whether or not we would have to meet again and then push it back to maybe February, or if everybody's comfortable, we can make a motion to approve the report with the corrections. Does anybody have any problems with that motion?
No.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna need a first and a second from someone. So the motion on the floor is to approve the report with the additional corrections. Can I get a first?
I move we approve the report with the corrections and adjustments discussed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mike? Okay, and we'll do a roll call on the approval. So we have Charlene,
Approved.
Barbara,
Approved.
and myself, yes. And Mike.
Yes.
And so do I have to call the names of the people that are not here, or just say, can I get some assistance?
No.
Or just motion carries with yay?
I think we have a quorum, so we can pass it with a
It's-
quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah, you passed it with the quorum of the members in attendance.
Okay, so I pass it with the quorum with the members that's present.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to number 5. So are there any suggestions or anything for agenda items for future committee meetings?
It would be nice to get a report on use of the surplus funds, assuming that there's some action
Mhm.
going on to plan for expending those as we recommended.
Okay,
Well, I do hope to, like I did last year, present the fiscal year 24 budget sometime in April or May. April would be nice.
And also, we are doing a budget projection over a 5-year period, so we will use those that data to inform our decision making about future uses of the fund balance.
okay,
So what I was suggesting is just a kind of an update or progress report at our future meeting, our next quarterly meeting.
okay, so you would like to have that report on our next meeting?
Well, as we get any updates to it, right?
Yeah, just any planning that has gone on vis-a-vis that surplus or the available funds, I guess we should be calling it.
Okay. Anything else? So that brings us to our next meeting time. Myrna has October financials, and so that's what we're gonna be going over in March or April. But Myrna, since you just mentioned you would have additional information for the surplus in April, so do you feel as though it would be better for us to do that in April, since that will be available?
Well,
We-
if you met in April, I can then share the budget for the budget for next fiscal year. That would be fiscal year 23-24. The budget workshop is scheduled for April 4th for the commission. So therefore, after that, I would like to present it to the Measure Y committee, Oversight committee. But that would be April. In March, I do have planned to have completed the 5-year forecast by then, and I can report the latest monthly financial report. So in March, I would be able to present the February financials.
So, and what we need would be at least the Q2 numbers at some point, right?
Yes, and by then you would have more than that. I would recommend that whatever to date it was, so it'd probably be February.
And you'll have the audit.
And the audit, yes, the audit, it should be done also. So
Okay.
a lot to talk about. Mhm.
So then my question would be this, because that's a lot to do with, I think within an hour, or do you feel it would be possible to go over all that material in an hour time frame?
Maybe
Well,
we
we could prioritize. I feel that the budget will have some information on the use of the fund balance, so that would be folded in there. And so that's part of the forecasting. But I think you should get a report on actuals to date. I mean, I could have a short version of that, and we can do the budget and actuals to date in April.
Okay, does everyone feel that would be okay to wait to April, or do you want to do 2 separate meetings to really digest the information? So my question to the committee is it okay, you want to wait to April to do all of that? And do you feel comfortable enough that we can get through all of that?
Myself, I sense that it's better to wait till April because so many things are interwoven there, but and schedule an additional meeting if we can't finish reviewing in April. And the forecast, the 5-year forecast, we could be sent that in March by email so that we could be digesting that a little bit.
Okay. Barbara,
Yeah, I think it's a lot of information to try to get through it all in one meeting. I like Charlene's proposed solution there to look at the forecast early and give us some time on that, and then have the meeting in April as Myrna's suggesting. I think it's an awful lot. I think we may wind up with 2 meetings in there somewhere, just so everybody gets a chance to really review it thoroughly.
So the forecast is scheduled at this time to go to the, I think it's scheduled to go to the finance committee in February. So you can put that date on your calendar. Lisa, if you could tell us when the finance committee is in February. I hope it doesn't land on a holiday. And then it will be presented to the commission in March.
So we could listen in. But the other part of my suggestion was that we kind of have in the back of our mind that we may need to have a second meeting in April if there's just too much to deal with and we have too many questions.
we could do the Q2 numbers, say in February, so then we don't have to talk about that side of it, and then just focus on the forecast, if that would reduce it enough.
so because I know we still had October numbers, so we can do that which is the QT numbers that's in, okay, so February.
But by February, then we would have the January numbers, which would be, or the December numbers, which would be a complete Q1 and Q2.
And the audit.
And the audit, right? Good, that's even better.
So, and then so we can do a meeting in February for QT numbers and audit.
Mhm.
And then also, then we'll do the one in April for the additional, wait. The forecast is gonna be done in February, then go to the commissioners. Okay, so then the forecast will be on April's meeting, correct?
We talk about the forecast and the budget.
Okay, so essentially, we're gonna have two meetings. So going forward in the new year, we'll have two meetings, one in February, one in April. We'll split out that information. We'll have the QT numbers and audit in February. Oops.
About that.
And then in April, we'll have the forecast and what else?
The,
Budget,
The budget.
the proposed budget.
Okay, did I capture everything?
Chair Minor, Ray Hawley has his hand raised.
Yes, right?
I had a couple of questions to ask about finalizing the report, so I can wait until you're done with this item.
Okay. So everybody is in agreement. So we'll have Lisa do a doodle poll to find out the actual dates. So just be aware to check your email so that we'll be setting up two meetings, one in February and one in April.
Okay.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, Ray?
Thank you. I just want to go back to the report. In prior years, the graphics team has taken this final draft of the report and laid it out in a slightly different fashion. So I wanted to confirm whether that's your intention again, or you've already done a similar looking report, or you want to submit what you have. I just want to know if that we need to do that for you. And then I wanted to mention also, if we do that, I would like to be able to send it to someone on the committee, the chair or subcommittee, to take a look at it, to confirm we didn't goof anything up. And then the last item I want to mention is I believe this will be on the January 4th commission agenda. Committee members usually show up on that, which I believe will be Zoom, just to be recognized for your commitment and to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Yes. So this was just for how I would like it to see. So I know you do your jazz and your work on it. And so I really like this format and the color. So if you could get something close to that, because we did it in a different, application. So something similar to this, along with those pictures, that I would greatly appreciate it. Because I'm working on it and I need to see it in like its totality. So that's why I did it that way.
Sure, we'll make it look a lot like that. Maybe a couple of times when you've got one or two lines on a succeeding page, we'll just tighten it up a little bit. So you don't need that extra page, things like that, but we won't change any of the wording.
Yeah, that's
So
fine. Do your magic.
you're gonna send it to me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on. So we establish our date and time. And if there is nothing else, we do adjournment by acclamation.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for your work for the library and happy holidays.
Same to
Thank
you
you.
all.
Everybody, same to you.
Thank you all. It's good to see you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone.